Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Really looking forward to this one. We're going to get into the cursed staff meta and usage breakdowns. I'm going to do something a little bit different in this one that I might go back and do for a couple of the other ones that I've spent a little bit more time investing into, and I'm going to go over a couple of actual build setups, different suggestions, maybe go into a little bit more detail. I've spent a lot of time on curse. I've got two characters now with obviously this one's at 65 mastery. I've also got another character at 52 mastery for curse, just trying to get into that T7 level. But yeah, so we're going to get straight into it. As always, we're going to use the tier 8 staff as the baseline. Be aware that the item power is obviously going to be hugely different on this one just because of my mastery as well. But anyway, let's get straight into it. So the Overlord's Cursed Staff, that is the first one we're going to be looking at. We're going to go over the passives first. So Bane, every 4 normal attacks you cause a demonic explosion on the enemy, doing an additional 68 magic damage in a 5 meter radius. Yeah, it's not bad. There are better options though, which we'll go over in a little bit. I think you could use this if you were auto attacking a little bit more. This staff isn't a bad one to do because you tend to auto attack a lot. For a reason I'll go into a little bit, which we'll go into in a second. Energetic, every normal attack you restore 4 energy. Everyone slates me for using this, however I think this is by far the best passive on the curse staff. I never have energy issues. Group I run with so many different people, and I'm still one of the highest sustained damage in there. This is just a ridiculous ability. If you actually look at how much Vile Curse costs, it costs 11 energy every 1.7 seconds. In that I can get maybe 1 or 2 auto attacks off. That's 8 energy I've just restored there. Like it's pretty decent. When you start looking at like the cloth armor regens as well, you are doing a ridiculous amount. Furious, every 5 activated spells or damage gets increased by 10% for 4 seconds. I apologise if that's just blown out your ears. My computer's decided it wants to try and restart now. Anyway, so this is really strong. This is probably the second best in my opinion. You do a lot more damage with this. If you time it right, especially on things like this, you can proc it on your E abilities, and obviously that'll do even more damage. However, I think it's better for burst but weaker for sustain. Like any fight that lasts for maybe 2 of these, you're probably going to be going out of energy, and if you go out of energy, then unfortunately the energetic just wins out. I think if you're going for a short fight, maybe Hellgate fights, Furious is definitely a good one to look at. If you're going for GVG, something that's going to be a sustained fight potentially, then I think energetic just wins out. However, things like Druid Cowl in the mix, if you've got a Druid Cowl, I think Furious is the only way to go. And then you have Hit and Run. Every 4 activated spells, your movement speed is increased by 20% for 3 seconds. So I actually have tried this for soloing. It's hilarious if people gank you, like, because you basically just spam your Qs and kite and run, and like when I solo, I use Vile Curse, Desecrate. You could just kite people all day long. Like I run 10-second sprint as well. You literally have so many ways. All you've got to do is keep your stacks up, and people tend to just give up chasing me because they know they can't kill me without risking their lives. Like it's really, really strong. Let's get into the Qs then. So Vile Curse places Vile Curse on the target, dealing 49 damage every 2 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. Energy cost is 11, cast time instant, range 8 meters, and cooldown 1.7 seconds. So, I mean, in fairness, it's very self-explanatory. It does a lot of damage single target. Low energy cost, 1.7 second cooldown, and 8 meter range. I wish it was a little bit higher. Even if it's just 10 meters, it would be just that little bit difference would make so much of a quality of life change. But yeah, this is really, really strong. If anyone's unaware of how dots work in this game, as far as I understand it, and I haven't fully tested it, however I've had a look at it, if you have 4 stacks of this, that should effectively be doing 196 damage if I've worked that out right. Yeah, should do. From my understanding of it, every time you then cast Vile Curse after that, it does another proc. So it procs it twice. So you're potentially doing just a ridiculous amount of damage. I believe it's something like 1.5 times the damage. So you're looking potentially to be dealing close in the range of like 300 damage every Q at that point. Potentially wrong, but no one really knows 100% how they work. I've asked a lot of people. However it works, it does a lot of damage to spam it on someone with full stacks. Like, it's not wasted at that point. Cursed Sickle creates a demonic sickle, which looks amazing by the way, which flies to your position. It applies a Vile Curse on any enemies in hits on your way. The curse is exactly the same as the Vile Curse. Double the cooldown at 3.4 seconds. Cooldown, so energy cost is 20, range is 12 meters, cast time instant. So the bit I don't like with this is the curse is 4-second long duration, and the cooldown on the curse sickle is 3.4 seconds. So one mistake and your stacks are going to drop, and that can be a lot of damage lost. The energy cost is really high, however the range makes up for that in my opinion. Like, it's a good ability, I need to see that cooldown come down a little bit more, I think. In PvP I would always use Vile Curse, just because you can actually focus damage someone, and you can apply your dots a lot quicker. For the W's, now Curse is used in almost every single team comp at the moment because of this ability right here. Armor Piercer. Demonic Beam shoots in a straight line. All enemies hit take 155 damage, which is, it's whatever basically, and have their armor and magic resist reduced by 71 for 8 seconds. The damage you get from this is just ridiculous. Like, it's so strong basically. 32 energy cost, 25 meter range. That's basically off-screen range at that point. And on a 12.75 second cooldown. It's got a very short cooldown, very high range. Like, you can do so much work with Armor Piercer. Basically a good curse at the moment can carry a team. If you land 3 or 4 man Armor Pierces, just that fight's done, really. Curse Beam. So deals 207 damage up to 5 times to an enemy, energy cost 29, range 11 meter, cooldown 8.5 seconds. This ability is really underrated. So this ability actually does a lot of damage, has a decent range, obviously 11 meter as all channeled abilities. It's 11 meter range, however it's slightly higher than that once you've cast it. So I believe it's something in the range of 15-16 meters. A short cooldown, however it's a fairly high energy cost for a short cooldown. Like, you could spam this on someone, and what I was doing the other day is we actually ran with 2 curses. One person ran Armor Pierce, one person ran Curse Beam. The one with a higher mastery ran Curse Beam, and like, I was putting 4 dots on someone and casting Curse Beam and they died. Like, I could solo kill someone with this. It's kind of crazy, to be honest. It does a lot of damage. If you have someone else that can apply Armor Pierce, this is definitely one to be using. Like, it really is a lot of single target pressure, especially with your stacks on as well. Desecrate creates a desecrating wave that roots all enemies hit and inflicts them with the Vile Curse. Energy cast 34, cast time instant, range self, cooldown 8.5 seconds. So this is a bit misleading. Like, it says desecrating wave. Sorry if you can hear a bike outside. There's a bike literally outside my window that is very loud. It says a desecrating wave. I was hoping it would be something cool, like a tidal wave of demonic energy that roots everyone it hits. It isn't. It's a little AoE around yourself that roots them and hits them with a single Vile Curse. So, terrible for anything but solo play. In solo play I use this all the time, mainly because if you pull too many mobs you can just root them and run away. And if anyone ever ganks you, you've got another way to apply dots, as well as root them and walk away. Like, you've got a little bit more damage there in terms of being able to kite. Definitely with a hit and run ability, this is lovely, but in GVG's Hellgate, no one would use this over either of these 2 abilities. So we've gone over all the spells and passives. We're going to go on to the E abilities of all the staffs. Death Curse. Places a Death Curse on the target and will deal damage to the target after a few seconds, depending on the number of charges of the Vile Curse on the target. So 0 charges hits for 452 damage, 1 charge is 679 damage, 2 charges is 905 damage, 3 is 1176, with 4 being 1538 damage. Energy cost is 43, cast time is 1.28 seconds, range is 11 meters, and cooldown is 12.75 seconds. So this ability, first thing I want to say is it's roughly 5 seconds after applying it that it goes off, I believe, because it's 3.5, yeah, it's about 5 seconds. The reason I had a look at that then is that it's 3 Vile Curse casts. You can get off perfectly if you cast 1 Vile Curse, Death Curse, and then 3 Vile Curses. It'll blow up at the end of your last cast, which is good, a really good combination, by the way. If you want to do it a little bit tidier, you can do 2, cast your curse, 3, and then Armor Piercer, and then 4, and it'll explode at the end, like very soon after that, with the Armor Pierce on as well. Death Curse is really strong. The second a group realises you're running it, they'll Ice block it, Night Boot charge it. They'll always pop a defensive cooldown for this, and if they don't, they die. I actually went into a Hellgate the other day with my Mage Robes on with Berserker. Someone jumped onto me, I got to like 50% health pop Berserker, and I hit them for 2.4k with my Death Curse. 100 to 0'd them. Like, they didn't use a cooldown, they didn't use a defensive, they thought it'd be fine. Like I said, 100 to 0'd them. However, if they used a defensive, that fight would have been lost. So it's a good staff. I would always use the Mistcaller with it, getting more of them Qs quicker, more armor pierces, even more death curses. Cooldown does so much for a curse staff. Yeah, I would definitely play around with it. It's a fun weapon to use. It really is fun. Just be aware that a lot of people will counter the death curse. I'm going to move on to the demonic staff next. In fact, actually, no, we're not. There is a reason why. I'm going to use the Great Curse Staff. This is the one I've spent the most time in with 126 Mastery bonus. And it's got the Aura of Decay. The caster creates an Aura of Decay. Enemies inside will have all of their heal over time effects removed, and will have Vile Curse reapplied repeatedly. The longer they stay in the curse, the more the curse can stack up. So it stacks up to 4 times. It procs 4 times, and every proc adds 1 stack of Vile Curse. If an enemy hits you at all, it will knock back your channel a little bit, and you'll only get 3 casts off. So if you get hit at all during your channel, break it at 3 is my sort of pro tip recommendation. Other than that, you only have, like, as soon as you put your E down, it'll proc once. So it's good for a burst combination. If you do like 4 stacks of your Q, W, Q, and then straight into an E, you get the damage for the Q when it hits the target, as well as the E burst at the same time. I've hit for 700, 800 damage with that combo. Just burst damage that people don't expect from me. But also, that can it will take every single heal over time ability off the enemy on your first application, so please be aware of that. If you're getting someone low, even if you're not going to channel it because you need to keep moving, doing 1 tick of this, just putting it on them for 1 tick, is enough to remove all heal over time abilities effects on the enemy. That's enough to just kill them off because they haven't got healing on them anymore. Really, really strong weapon. This is probably, I would say this is top 2 for curse staffs right now. There's no real definite number 1, however this is a very, very strong weapon. So we're now going to go on to the demonic staff. The demonic staff has Field of Death, creates an aura of death on the ground that prevents 70% of healing and deals 36 damage every second. Also reveals invisible enemies in the area. So this is good for a couple of reasons. One, this is a very, very Assassin Jacket heavy meta. With Clarence, Carrying Callers, even Bloodletters running it. Like, a lot of people are running it. This counters it because you can just drop it on the healer and like the backline, and they can't stealth in and get that big burst off. The other reason for this is it's exactly the same size as Icicle in terms of range of the area effect. So if they put an icicle, if you put an icicle on the floor, you can then drop this on top, and that's a slow 2 lots of damage over time and 70% healing reduction, which is really, really strong. If you're running this one, I would suggest running it with plate armor. The reason I say that is you turn into more of a support with this rather than a DPS. The E doesn't do enough damage for you to be considered a DPS. You basically concentrate more on putting stacks on a couple of targets, sure, but you're worried more about the armor pierces and the field of deaths. I know someone from the guild that I'm in uses plate with this, where he runs cleanse on his helmet, wind wall on his chest, and night boots, as well as this staff, and he is just a godlike support. He calls himself a fake arcane. He turns into a debuffer rather than anything else, and it's a really, really strong combination. The reason I wanted to leave this till now is that I wanted to go over the Life Curse staff next, which is the first tier artifact. Because I believe, I haven't tried it, I really want to try it, and I'm going to in the next couple of days. I want to try this one as, again, the similar build with a plate armour. I think it could be really, really strong. You turn into a support again, but let's go over the E first. So, Enfeeble Blades summons a ring of deadly blades around yourself or an ally that will follow the target around. The blades will repeatedly deal 96 damage and reduce attack power by 5%, stacking up to 10 times. Energy cost 77, cast time 1.28 seconds, range 11 meters, and cooldown 25.5 seconds. So, the reason I think this could be used as a tank weapon, not a tank weapon, a support weapon, is that you can put this on anyone in the group, which means you can peel a healer by putting this on the healer, and melees will not be able to stand on it. It has such a high base damage, and it's obviously the attack power reduction that they can't afford to stand on it, otherwise they're going to be doing nothing, and taking damage for it as well. And again, you have the armor piercer, so you can literally turn into a bit of a support with this as well. I definitely think there's ways and means to do that. Definitely something to look at. Other than that, I would say, so going by what I said before about like the top two weapons, I believe Demonic and Great Curse Staff are the top two at the moment. Great Cursed if you want to be the DPS, Demonic if you're looking to be a support. I would say Life Curse and Curse Staff both have elements of good stuff. Again, Curse Staff is the DPS one, Life Curse is more of the supporty weapon. I do run this in Hellgates with a 4 DPS 1 healer team, and I just put Enfeeble Blades on our like engager, and we do so much damage on the engage because he runs Stalker Jacket as well. It does a lot of damage. Purge does remove this though, that's one thing to consider, so an arcane can definitely counter this. And finally we have the Cursed Skull, being the tier 2 hell artifact for the Cursed tree line. Haunting Screams. The tortured souls of adventurers who have died in the hell swarm around you. While channeling, all enemies hit will receive 165 magic damage per second. Against players, an additional 2% of the enemy's max health will be dealt as direct damage each second. This channel lasts up to 6 seconds and cannot be interrupted by enemies. So this is, it's good in that you become CC immune. And what I mean by that is you literally cannot be stunned, interrupted, wind-walled, everything. You just become CC immune. So you can use this as a kind of cleanse, so to speak, but you have to be able to preempt the abilities. It does a lot of damage, however, to use it you have to be able to position. To use it, you have to run into their team and be in a bad spot. There's a potential, so I saw someone using this with like a leather setup, running, I believe it was the Hellion jacket with the lifesteal aura, and they basically had a heavy mage jump in, get 2 or 3 people. He used the Hellion jacket with the mage boots and did the delayed teleport, did a really big wombo combo where he jumped in with both things proccing at the same time, doing a lot of damage and healing up as well. But in terms of Clothies using this, just don't. You're going to run into a team and pop this and you're going to get focused and murdered. You'll have to break the channel yourself because you'll never be able to survive for 6 seconds otherwise. So I just don't think it's very good right now. I think all the other staffs are very viable though in the right situations. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Just to go over the builds then that I think are really strong with this at the moment. In terms of the headpiece, I think you should either be running the Cleric Cowl or the Mercenary Hood. I think them two are definitely the strongest headpieces for what Curse should be doing. If you're a DPS, it's pretty much always Cleric because you're going to need that ice block. If it's supporting, I think Mercenary Hood with the Cleanse is probably your best bet. In terms of chest pieces, I think Druid Robe is amazing. I think it's probably the best possible for DPS, with Mage Robe being slightly behind using Frost Shield. Sorry, the Druid Robe you use Obsessive Burst because you can stack it ridiculously easy with Curse and you do a ridiculously high amount of sustained damage. Yeah, so going back then, you've got the Mage Robe with Frost Shield. Other than that, I wouldn't use any of the other robes. You've got plate ones. You can use Enfeeble Aura. You could use Wind Wall. I like having a double Wind Wall on a team. If you're running the support setups and you basically protect the backline, you've got a couple of options. In terms of boots, I run Guardian boots on Curse because I get focused every friggin' fight. If you've got a good, comfortable team, you could probably run Night boots and be completely fine. Other than that, I probably wouldn't use any other boots. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Yeah, catch you later, guys. Goodbye.